Khloe Kardashian arrived on Kelly Clarkson's show expecting a light-hearted conversation, but from the moment cameras rolled, an unexpected tension began to simmer between the two. Kelly opened with a question about public pressure and online rumors, but Khloe, already drained from a hectic week, interpreted it as intrusive. The audience sensed the awkward shift as Khloe attempted to keep her composure, answering politely at first. However, the conversation's tone clearly wasn't going in the direction she had anticipated, setting the stage for what would soon become a very intense moment between host and guest. As Kelly elaborated on how public figures often face scrutiny, she mentioned recent tabloid stories involving Khloe's family. Khloe felt the angle was veering too close to her personal struggles, something she had hoped to avoid that day. She shifted uncomfortably, her smile tightening while the audience watched curiously. Kelly wasn't intentionally provoking her, but her attempt to connect through honesty wasn't resonating well. Khloe tried to respond calmly, yet every sentence seemed to pull the conversation deeper into territory she wasn't prepared to revisit, increasing the tension. Khloe attempted to steer the conversation toward her current projects, hoping to redirect the tone. She began describing her latest business venture, only for Kelly to circle back to online comments made about her appearance. The studio air thickened as Khloe paused mid-sentence, visibly frustrated. She clarified that such topics were emotionally charged and asked if they could move on. Kelly, trying to maintain the authenticity of her show, pushed gently for openness, unaware that Khloe's patience was nearing its limit. The misalignment between their intentions grew sharper. Kelly insisted that discussing difficult subjects often helped viewers relate, suggesting that Khloe's honesty could inspire others. But Khloe felt cornered, perceiving the moment as less motivational and more invasive. Her voice lowered, trying hard to stay composed in front of the cameras and audience. She emphasized that certain issues were exhausting to revisit publicly. Still, Kelly continued probing, believing she was offering a supportive platform. The crowd exchanged uncertain glances, sensing the emotional clash intensifying as neither woman seemed able to find common conversational ground. Khloe's expression hardened slightly as Kelly mentioned criticism about her parenting choices, referencing recent debates circulating online. That was the breaking point. Khloe raised her hand in a gentle but firm gesture, signaling her discomfort. She calmly stated that motherhood was sacred to her and that such discussions felt disrespectful. Kelly froze, realizing she had unintentionally stepped too far, but by then the tension had grown too heavy to dissolve easily. The stillness in the room was palpable as everyone awaited Khloe's next move. Trying to repair the moment, Kelly apologized and attempted to shift toward lighter conversation, but Khloe was already emotionally drained. She took a deep breath, visibly trying to collect herself. The audience watched in silence as she contemplated whether to continue. Her voice trembled slightly as she explained she had agreed to the interview believing it would focus on positive and constructive themes. The disappointment in her tone revealed just how overwhelmed she felt. Kelly nodded, empathetic yet unsure how to salvage the situation. Despite Kelly's attempt to reset the energy, the atmosphere remained strained. Khloe tried participating, but every answer became shorter. Her enthusiasm gone. Kelly, sensing the show slipping into uncomfortable territory, suggested a commercial break. But before the transition could happen, Khloe stood up abruptly. She apologized to the audience, saying she needed a moment to protect her peace. Her sudden departure stunned everyone, leaving Kelly momentarily speechless as Khloe headed backstage, shaking her head in frustration. As the cameras cut away, Kelly looked genuinely concerned. She wasn't angry, just worried that her approach had unintentionally hurt her guest. Producers gathered around, trying to determine how to proceed. The audience whispered among themselves, some shocked, others sympathetic. Kelly expressed to the crew that she had never wanted to create a hostile environment. Meanwhile, backstage, Khloe copyright struggled to regain control of her emotions, pacing and wiping tears, frustrated that what was meant to be a simple appearance had turned overwhelming. A producer approached Khloe copyright gently, asking if she wanted to return after the break or if she preferred to end the segment early. Khloe copyright sighed deeply, explaining she felt blindsided by the direction of the questions. She expressed admiration for Kelly but felt the timing wasn't right for discussing sensitive issues. The producer listened carefully, validating her feelings and offering support. Khloe copyright's frustration slowly shifted into exhaustion as she leaned against the wall, trying to calm her breathing and decide her next move. Kelly remained on stage during the break, replaying the conversation in her mind and realizing where things had gone wrong. Her intention had been to show empathy, but the timing and phrasing had made it feel like interrogation. When the cameras came back on, she addressed the audience honestly, acknowledging the uncomfortable moment and expressing regret. She hoped Khloe copyright would feel understood enough to return, though she knew the decision rested entirely with her guest. Viewers at home watched intently, unsure what would happen next. Backstage, Khloe copyright was offered water and a quiet room to decompress. She sat down with a blanket over her shoulders, trying to process her emotions. She appreciated that the show's staff treated her with genuine kindness. After a few minutes, she began explaining that she wasn't angry at Kelly but overwhelmed by the constant recurrence of certain topics in interviews. She felt misunderstood by the public and wished for conversations that focused more on her work and growth instead of rehashing personal struggles. The producer relayed Khloe copyright's feelings to Kelly during another short break. Kelly nodded empathetically, expressing that she truly never meant to make Khloe copyright feel targeted. She suggested offering Khloe copyright the option to return and restart the conversation from a more comfortable angle. She hoped to make amends, not for publicity, but because she valued authenticity and didn't want to hurt someone unintentionally. The sincerity in Kelly's tone made the crew hopeful that resolution was still possible. Khloe copyright eventually agreed to rejoin the stage but requested a gentler approach. She wanted clarity about the topics and the space to decline questions that felt too personal. The producer conveyed this to Kelly, who immediately agreed. When Khloe copyright returned, the audience offered warm applause, attempting to create a supportive environment. Khloe copyright smiled faintly, appreciating the gesture, though her guard remained slightly up as she took her seat once more. This time, Kelly began by openly apologizing, acknowledging that her line of questioning had caused discomfort. She clarified she had intended to empower, not pressure, and thanked Khloe copyright for her honesty. Khloe copyright accepted the apology, expressing respect for Kelly but explaining how emotionally taxing certain topics had become. The mutual understanding between them softened the atmosphere, allowing them to continue more comfortably. The audience relaxed, sensing a more positive shift. The conversation gradually moved toward Khloe copyright's future plans, including business projects and personal growth. She spoke about focusing on self-love, helping communities, and raising her children with strong values. The shift in tone allowed Khloe copyright to shine authentically without emotional strain. Kelly praised her resilience, acknowledging the pressures of public life. That discussion became heartfelt and empowering, transforming the earlier tension into something constructive. Khloe copyright elaborated on balancing fame with privacy, sharing that she had reached a point where mental peace mattered more than headlines. She expressed her desire to set clear boundaries in interviews, not out of defensiveness but self-preservation. Kelly agreed wholeheartedly, reflecting on her own experiences with public pressure. The exchange grew warmer as both women discovered shared vulnerabilities, creating a moment of honest connection. Inspired by the new direction, Khloe copyright spoke about her philanthropic efforts and how she hoped to use her platform to uplift others. She described recent collaborations meant to empower women dealing with self-esteem issues. Kelly listened attentively, encouraging her to share advice for viewers navigating similar struggles. Khloe copyright emphasized the importance of self-worth, reminding people that criticism often reflects more about the critic than the person being targeted. The message resonated deeply with the audience. Kelly then asked Khloe Copyright about her creative process in developing her latest projects. Khloe Copyright explained how she had poured personal passion into everything she created, turning challenges into motivation. She spoke about learning to trust herself, even when public narratives attempted to overshadow her accomplishments. Her voice carried confidence now, replacing the earlier tension. The audience could nod along, clearly inspired by her determination and authenticity. The emotional shift continued as Khloe Copyright recalled moments in her life that taught her resilience. She described learning to navigate fame at a young age and how she often protected her younger siblings from harsh criticism. She highlighted the importance of family unity and staying grounded. Kelly responded warmly, applauding her strength and expressing admiration for how Khloe Copyright remained dedicated to positivity even in difficult moments. Kelly and Khloe Copyright eventually laughed together as they shared stories about unexpected challenges in their careers. Their playful banter dissolved the earlier discomfort completely. The audience enjoyed seeing two strong women bonding over shared experiences instead of clashing. The authenticity of this moment restored the show's energy, proving that even difficult conversations could be repaired with empathy and understanding. Khloe Copyright reflected on how the earlier tension actually reminded her of the importance of advocating for herself. She explained that setting boundaries didn't make someone difficult, it simply protected their emotional well-being. Kelly fully agreed, adding that everyone, public figure or not, should feel empowered to speak up when something feels overwhelming. Their agreement earned supportive applause from the crowd. Kelly asked Khloe Copyright what advice she would give to viewers experiencing similar emotional pressure. Khloe Copyright encouraged people to surround themselves with positive influences, avoid toxic discussions when possible, and prioritize personal peace. She stressed that growth often comes from difficult moments but only when approached with self-compassion. Her honesty resonated with viewers, offering a meaningful takeaway from an interview that had begun with tension. The conversation deepened as Khloe Copyright shared her thoughts on the responsibility of media and interviewers in shaping public narratives. She explained that sensitivity and compassion could dramatically change the way stories are told. Kelly agreed, acknowledging that the industry sometimes struggled to strike the right balance. They discussed how transparency between host and guest can avoid misunderstandings like the one they had earlier. As the show neared its end, Kelly expressed gratitude for Khloe Copyright's willingness to return despite feeling overwhelmed. She complimented her strength and vulnerability, saying it took courage to continue after such a heated moment. Khloe Copyright smiled, admitting that while it had been difficult, she appreciated the chance to clarify her feelings. The audience applauded warmly, impressed by her ability to handle conflict with grace. Khloe Copyright shared a few closing thoughts about future interviews, emphasizing that she hoped for more discussions centered on empowerment, creativity, and positivity. She clarified that she wasn't opposed to difficult questions but preferred handling them when mentally prepared. Kelly assured her that she understood and would be more thoughtful moving forward. Their mutual respect shone through clearly. Kelly then asked Khloe Copyright to share something uplifting before the show ended. Khloe Copyright talked about embracing new chapters in life and learning not to let negative commentary dictate her self-image. She said she felt stronger than ever and encouraged viewers to embrace personal transformation with courage. The audience responded with enthusiastic applause, appreciating the wisdom in her words. Khloe Copyright expressed gratitude to her supporters, acknowledging how their encouragement kept her motivated during challenging times. She emphasized that kindness from fans often outweighed negativity from critics. Kelly nodded, stating that support systems were essential for everyone. Their shared understanding of the importance of community created a warm closing moment. Kelly thanked Khloe Copyright for her honesty and resilience, acknowledging how the episode had transformed from tense to deeply meaningful. She reminded viewers that difficult conversations could lead to healing when handled with patience. Khloe Copyright agreed, saying that despite the rocky start, She was glad the episode ended on a positive note. The audience gave the standing ovation, touched by the emotional journey. As the cameras prepared to cut, Khloe Copyright thanked Kelly for listening and giving her space to express herself. She expressed hope that viewers would remember the importance of empathy, both online and offline. Kelly thanked her once again, promising to approach sensitive topics more carefully in the future. Their exchange reflected mutual understanding and newfound respect, ending the segment gracefully. When the show officially wrapped, Kelly and Khloe Copyright shared a brief hug backstage, symbolizing closure after a turbulent interview. Both women expressed appreciation for the chance to resolve their conflict rather than walk away from it. Despite the earlier clash, the episode ultimately delivered a powerful message about communication, boundaries, and emotional resilience. Khloe Copyright left the studio feeling lighter, and Kelly felt grateful for the honest connection that emerged from an unexpected moment of tension. After leaving the main stage, Khloe Copyright sat briefly with her publicist to review what had happened. She admitted the moment had caught her off guard, but she appreciated that Kelly had shown sincerity in resolving the issue. Her team encouraged her to treat the situation as a reminder of how easily interviews can shift emotionally. Khloe Copyright nodded, saying she wanted to focus on growth rather than frustration. She felt a mixture of relief and lingering vulnerability as she reflected on how overwhelmed she had felt during the earlier exchange. Meanwhile, Kelly spoke with her executive producer, expressing her genuine regret over the misunderstanding. She explained that her intention had been to create a safe space but realized her wording hadn't matched her intention. The producer reassured her that even seasoned hosts experience moments where conversations go in unexpected directions. Kelly appreciated the reassurance but still felt responsible for the tension. Vowing to learn from the incident, she reminded herself that her role required balancing sensitivity with honesty. Khloe Copyright eventually headed toward the green room, where she found a few staff members eagerly waiting to check if she needed anything. Their kindness helped ease the emotional weight she carried. She sipped water and slowly regained her confidence. The experience, although draining, reminded her of how passionate she was about advocating for personal boundaries. She knew millions of viewers would watch the episode, and she hoped her reaction would encourage others to protect their own emotional well-being. Kelly, still processing the events, was approached by crew members who praised her for handling the tense moment with grace. Though the compliment comforted her, she still felt a strong desire to reach out to Khloe Copyright personally before she left the building. She didn't want any lingering discomfort. Her humility impressed the crew, who admired the way she prioritized emotional clarity over show ratings. Kelly believed authenticity always mattered more than avoiding uncomfortable moments. A quietly emotional conversation unfolded when Kelly finally met Khloe Copyright backstage after the recording had wrapped. Both women expressed gratitude that the situation had been resolved before the episode ended. They spoke about the challenges of being in the public eye, where even small misunderstandings could escalate into viral moments. The sincere exchange reaffirmed their mutual respect. Khloe Copyright felt a sense of closure, while Kelly felt reassured that she hadn't damaged their relationship. As Khloe Copyright prepared to leave, her team gently reminded her that the media would likely speculate about the incident. She sighed, knowing it was unavoidable. Still, she expressed confidence that viewers would see the full context and understand that emotional boundaries were at the heart of the matter. She hoped the episode would show that conflict didn't have to be destructive, it could lead to deeper understanding if handled with honesty and respect. Kelly returned to her dressing room feeling emotionally drained but grateful for the day's lessons. She replayed conversations in her mind, thinking about how easily intentions could be misunderstood. Even after years of experience, she realized there was always more to learn about navigating sensitive topics. She decided to incorporate more pre-interview discussions with guests to ensure they felt comfortable with potential questions. The moment had challenged her, but it had also strengthened her commitment to mindful hosting. Later, Khloe Copyright's phone buzzed with supportive messages from family members who had watched the episode's live feed. They expressed admiration for how she handled herself. Their encouragement reminded her that she wasn't alone, Even during stressful public moments, she sent a few replies but decided to put her phone away to avoid the influx of online commentary that would inevitably follow. She wanted to protect her peace and reflect quietly on the day. Instead, Kelly also received messages from friends and colleagues who applauded her transparency on air. They appreciated how she addressed the tension instead of ignoring it. Kelly smiled at the thoughtful words, feeling lighter. She knew the audience respected authenticity, and she hoped the openness shown during the episode would spark healthier conversations about boundaries in the entertainment industry. It reinforced her belief that honesty, even when uncomfortable, often strengthens connections rather than weakens them. By the time Khloe copyright reached her car, she felt emotionally calmer. The cool air outside the studio helped clear her mind. She reflected on how quickly situations could escalate in front of cameras and how important it was to stay grounded. The incident had reminded her of the emotional weight she carried as a public figure. Yet, she also felt empowered knowing she had advocated for herself instead of silently enduring discomfort. That in itself felt like a quiet victory. Kelly sat with her show writers afterward, discussing how the episode should be presented during broadcast. They agreed not to edit out the tense moment, believing viewers deserved the full, authentic narrative. Kelly emphasized that the goal wasn't to sensationalize but to show how communication could break and then rebuild. The team appreciated her integrity and agreed that the episode would resonate far more deeply if shown honestly, without artificial smoothing. Khloe copyright, riding home, talked softly with her assistant about the emotional pressure celebrities face. She expressed frustration that people often assumed fame made difficult conversations easier. In reality, it often amplified the discomfort. Her assistant listened empathetically, reminding Khloe copyright that her ability to speak openly about boundaries would help many people watching. The thought comforted her, giving the entire experience a sense of purpose beyond personal discomfort. Kelly, reviewing the day's notes, couldn't help but reflect on how human vulnerability had taken center stage. She believed the incident could spark meaningful dialogue about the demanding nature of public life. She hoped viewers would see the value in acknowledging emotional limits. She also realized that the moment had deepened her understanding of her guests' inner worlds, strengthening her resolve to approach future conversations with even more care. Khloe copyright, nearing her home, allowed herself a moment of quiet gratitude. Despite the emotional roller coaster, she felt proud of how she and Kelly had ultimately handled the situation. She hoped the episode would show that disagreements didn't always lead to negativity. Sometimes, they opened doors to deeper respect and understanding. She exhaled deeply, feeling ready to move forward with clarity and renewed strength. As the day came to a close, both women reflected separately on the unexpected lesson the interview had delivered. Though the moment had begun with conflict, it ultimately evolved into something meaningful. It reminded them and their audiences that emotions mattered, boundaries mattered, and communication mattered. And in a world full of pressure and noise, two women choosing honesty over perfection had created a moment far more powerful than a flawless interview ever could.